So you want to start a podcast in 2025 and you're not too sure where to start? I'm going to help you out. I've been hosting my podcast, the Dope Life Podcast, for almost 5 years, and I'm going to hook you up with what you need and what you don't need to purchase. So let's waste no time and let's get right into it. So when I first started my podcast, all I had was my cell phone. That was it. That's all you need right now. That's literally all you need. All I had was my celly. I had my iPhone. I was using it primarily only for audio episodes, and I downloaded the Spotify for Podcasters app, which now is linked through Riverside. That's just how I started. I was doing everything just audio on my phone. But my main goal wasn't so much about the platform and gaining listeners. My main goal was the information I was giving. So I want you to think about this. Before you think about equipment in any way, shape, or form, ask yourself why you want to start the podcast in the first place. What is your mission statement? What message do you want to give out to people, and why? Who are the people that you want to reach out? That's your very, very first step. People want to start podcasts, but the question of all questions, they got to reflect with themselves. Why the hell they want to start in the first place? Like, what is your main purpose? Now, once you figure that out, then you want to figure out a title. So you want to figure out a title. I highly suggest you do research to make sure the title is not being used anymore or at all. I highly suggest you look at what the purpose of the title is and how it relates to the message you're trying to give out and the information you're trying to give out. And keep in mind, like, this is, if you're trying to build, you want to use this title all the time. So think about branding and stuff like that. So don't just make a title to have a title. Be very intentional with what you're doing. Now I'm going to get right into equipment, because this is where I think a lot of people fall short on. We overspend for no reason. I bought 2 mics so far. And I had a camera, which was straight up horrible. I would not recommend it. And then I ended up just using my iPhone as a way to record. I do have a mirrorless camera that I use as well, which I guess you could buy later on, but you don't need to purchase it right now. I know you see the light back here. Again, I didn't purchase this till like way later on. In terms of a mic, a lot of people think that you gotta buy like Shure and stuff like that. Those mics are great. There's other great brands out there as well that are cost effective. So it's good to look at those other brands, read the reviews, ask questions to people who already have them, especially on like Amazon. There are people you can message and they do reply, thankfully. But this is the mic that I have here. It's a Canadian brand. I think it's out in Quebec or something like that. Not totally sure. But this mic, out of all the mics I've ever had, this one has been the best thus far, for me personally. For cost and everything, for me personally, it's been a great mic. It's a hookup, it's straight setup, no issues. Now I'm gonna talk about platform for a moment, because you heard me say Riverside. I'm a massive fan of Riverside and their platform, and not just because of the fact that it's connected to Spotify podcasters, but because I was using it before they even actually combined and created a partnership. It's a great, and they've grown so much in the last, I'd say like 2 years, maybe 1.5 years. They constantly elevate, and they will ask you, hey, like I remember I asked them a question like, eventually could we do this? And they said, we don't have it yet, but let's look into it. Within like 3 months, they released it. I was like, that's dope. Like, I'm so glad that they actually take account of the person, the user that is using it. Again, it is cost effective. It's cheap. Yes, there's a monthly charge, but you don't have to pay too much out of pocket for it. So I highly, highly suggest you think about using Riverside. Now, also keep in mind, I do use CapCut because editing is a little bit more easier, maybe just because I'm used to it at that. Again, I believe Riverside is just going to be up on my game just like that. Another app you can use, but CapCut is starting to charge a monthly and yearly fee. So a lot of the effects and things like that, they're starting to take away, which kind of sucks. So I'm in between two, but at the same time, in the same breath, it's still great to have something that's low cost and free. Now, you're probably also wondering what kind of setup you need to have. I'm going to be honest with you. This is my setup here. If you've watched my podcast, you've seen my setup. That's Black Santa over there in the corner. You don't always need to have a setup. If you've watched some of my videos, I've made videos right here from my kitchen. You don't need a massive setup. Sometimes you just need something like your couch or your kitchen, and that's good enough. Don't worry about having all these extra things. Don't worry about purchasing all these extra things. Just focus on your mission and your why. Start with that. Start with simply just doing that. Everything else will flow in. Now, I know you're probably seeing this little mic right here. If you desire to have something like that, I used AirPods for a while. If you find like that's not doing it, you could always go on Amazon and purchase these type of mics. They cost like 25 to 30 bucks. You don't need to go overboard just yet. Build up to it. Same thing as I said, the lighting, don't purchase any of that shit, build up to it and then get right into it. But the main thing that I see a lot of people always make mistakes on when it comes towards creating a podcast is they forget their why. They get so caught up in content creation that they forget their why. Don't forget your why. Don't forget your mission statement, and don't forget the people that you're trying to help with whatever you're discussing. Or maybe you're just talking just to talk, and maybe there is people out there that needs to align with the things that you're talking about. I hope this video helped you out just a tad before you dive 10 toes into your podcast journey. But please, no buy nothing, just use the things you have. I highly recommend that. Use the things that you do have. Oh, also, Riverside does have a free account as well. You don't have to do the paid one. The paid one, you do get a little bit more. But if you decide to just try it out and do free 99, again, they'll give you 5 hours of recording and they'll hook you up with that. So something to think about. But anyways, y'all, I wish you nothing but peace and love onto your podcast journey. And if you have any questions, reach in the comments. I'm happy to help y'all. All right, y'all, walk with peace and walk with love.